talking Bimal's breakfast sandwiches. Bacon, ham, little bit of that spicy chorizo. Got some of that smoked Gouda. You about to find out. So tell me about these breakfast sandwiches, Bimal.
It is an experience. It's a nice mix of, I would say, lightly toasted firmness with a good temperature of the egg, and with usually a sausage or a nice crispy bacon that's in there. But the money move is when you take your first bite, the yolk is nice and warm. It's a taste. It's kind of like a taste orgy that hits you. But the muffin, plus the meat, plus the egg, plus the yolk, it's quite the experience. It is a change. Things will change. Things will move.
That is a good call. The runny yolk, because I'm a big fan of the McGriddles classic, yeah. But you're not getting a runny yolk there.
Nope, it's not the dry. It's not that like chalky, firm yolk that comes out there. I mean, but it's like intact. So when the sandwich comes out, the cheese, right? The cheese is a nice drape over it. It's a nice, it's a nice coat. So it's like it's a nice boom feeling when you take a bite out of that thing.
Do we have varieties of cheese here, or are we just talking?
You go straight cheddar. Yeah, you go straight cheddar. Some people ask for extra sauce or sauce on the side. So I prefer the sauce, the melted cheese, the egg, the muffin. I usually go sausage. I don't go bacon as much, but I go sausage.
I'm big on the sausage too. I mean, can't be topped. Who on the show eats the most sandwiches?
Probably. Well, when I'm there, I'm certainly up there in the rankings in terms of the sandwiches. Cote, no doubt. When it's for him really. Tuesdays is breakfast sandwich day, and sometimes we'll double up during the week. But they know. But Kristen knows that if I'm coming into town, if I wasn't here like every day and stuff, she knows that when I'm coming in, there's an order being made as soon as my flight lands. I'm coming in. So, but Cote welcomes it. Tony is definitely up there. Lewis is big on, there's actually a couple of people that are big on the leftovers for the next day. And the move that they don't talk about on the show is that they put it into the air fryer the next day, which it revitalizes it and everything. And I've only done the air fry once, but there are people that go straight to the air fry now. So they're escalating. They're the initial egg fix is not enough. So now they're moving on they've moved up now to air fry.
I mean, the air fryer it's an absolute game changer. That level of crisp that it adds to it, just like it enlivens it once again, yes. Refreshes it. So,
but everything in the middle still stays. It still stays warm and gooey.
Yeah, you got to have that texture balance, right? Yeah. Of the crunch, but then also the soft, gooey center.
Yep. And the move that they're now modified is putting a wet paper towel into the air fryer. So,
wow, in the air fryer. I've done that move in the microwave, but not an air fryer.
Into the air fryer, yeah. It's all new stuff for me. So, would
you say that's your ideal breakfast?
Yes. Yeah. I've been a McGriddle breakfast sandwich anywhere I can go. Croissants. Breakfast sandwich on a croissant is probably my top, in all my years of eating breakfast sandwiches, this is the best. This is the best one.
Love a good croissant.
Yeah.
Love a good croissant. Although it can be tricky. It can be hard to get a good crunch on a croissant breakfast.
No, for croissants, you got to go soft. I think for croissants, it's got to be flaky and very soft. You don't want those like steroid.
Yeah. That's where the bacon might come in to get you the crunch. You want the soft croissant with maybe a crunchy bacon.
Yep, a good croissant, bacon, egg, and cheese on a croissant, the BEC, and then you kind of smush it down a little bit so it's good. Slice it in half.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Bimal's Breakfast Sandwiches. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I've even I've messed with them a little bit. Even last week, when we doubled up, like Tuesday, we'll order enough for everybody. But on Thursday, I think it was, we ordered less because I wanted to see what type of frenzy it could create when they came out. There was less sandwiches than there were people, and then that's when the muffin top scandal happened of Dan just eating the muffin top.
So it sounds like you're doing some social experimenting.
Yeah, it is a little bit. It's a little bit of like watching, like feral animals in the wild, and stuff like that. So it is some social experimenting of who chooses what sandwich and when, who comes out during a break to go get it, who decide to try and wait. There's also hash browns. The hash browns don't go as fast, but the breakfast sandwiches definitely get looted pretty fast.
All right. Well, welcome, folks. This is Nathan here. And our guest today, as you heard from our intro, is the one and only Bimal. Thank you, Bimal, for joining us.
Of course.
And I believe my first memory of being introduced to you was when you paid off your grid of death punishment, which we'll get to that. You're a man of honor. You've paid off your punishments and you shaved Greg Cote's back. Can you describe that experience for me?
Boy, I mean, looking back at that, I mean, in the moment, it was hard to describe what I was seeing. One, it's those moments where you sort of, you look at your career and you look at everything that you've done and you say, this is where I am. I'm shaving a grown ass man's back on live TV and stuff. But it was, everything from taking the guy's shirt off to seeing a
full service,
a freckly constellation with some weird things. And I don't want to hurt the guy. So if I'm trying, I've never shaved another person's back before. So I didn't want to put too much. I had to balance myself with my right arm and then the left arm. So I didn't go just, wild. So there was some, lingering hand on the shoulder, just waiting, holding there while I'm trying to shave in a up and down motions. I don't want to I don't want to risk ingrown hairs. I don't want to risk popping anything back there. So it was, it was definitely memorable. One of the things I realized, I had this habit of sort of putting my hand through my hair a lot. And when my hair was a lot longer then. So as I'm doing this, I'm also putting my hand through my hair. So I was getting Cote fragments and putting it through my hair like this. And then I had it on my shirt. I wore it all day.
Oh boy.
And but then I do, and again, just not thinking through it all. I also vividly remember blowing on the razor itself, on the clipper, and all the hair just kind of going over the microphone and over the table and all that stuff. So I don't know if we'll be doing that again in the studio itself, probably in another location. But I feel like there's a debt I needed to pay. There was a lot of talk of people not paying off their debts. So what kind of leader would I be if I didn't follow through with some of the things? And that's the one I was, and actually, even though that was one of the worst choices, it was probably the one that was the most feasible that I could do, given I'm not down there every single day or in the show full time. So, but yeah, so I went from just being talked about on the show as what's a Bimal to then actually now appearing shaving a man's back as my debut. So that's what I'm known for. That's that.
You showed your moxie indeed in that, and I think the fans appreciate you being willing to sacrifice for, our enjoyment there. So you mentioned your leadership, and so I'm just curious, what is your role within Meadowlark?
So that's a good question. So I am I guess by official title, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Meadowlark. So I handle a lot of we'll just call it the day-to-day ops and business of the running of the company. And it's also a lot of business development and partnerships that go alongside all the things that we're doing. So I guess the one way of describing the role is I've probably got my hands in a little bit of everything that's going on in the company and trying to move this thing forward as fast and as smart as we can.
Who on the show looks the most to be involved in promotions?
In promotions, promoting the show, or like
getting like free things from promotions, maybe the gratis apparatus. Who's trying to get the most gratis apparatuses set up for themselves?
I mean, Stugatz for sure. By design, by nature, by his DNA. Let's see. I would say the show is just a natural. I mean, just by being there. By the way, Nathan, by being there for the last 5-6 weeks, the random shit that gets sent to the studio is unreal. Like dog biscuits to wellness oils to coffee to postcards from abroad. It's a fascinating. Looking at the mail is a fascinating thing for me when I'm there. And on Mondays, all the boxes that just appeared and stuff like that. I would say Chris Cote is sort of another just a natural recipient of some stuff. Mike Ryan. I mean, they're all pretty good about it, right? But I would say Stugatz kind of goes after it. And then I mean, with some of the promotions that we've done in conjunction with our partners, they've been some good ones. We just always got to be smart about it too, right? When there's always this outreach from businesses and stuff like that, you want to help out, you want to take these things or use their products, but it's all just a healthy balance. But look, we're not trying to be doctrinal on any of this stuff. So,
I mean, I think personally, your guys' smartest move was supporting the growth of the world's fastest sport, highlight. I, for one, traveled across country to go to the first Chris Cote game and was there in person to see the Cesta Cyclones. I can say that I got to see the championship team play in person. That's a big deal for me that I can tell my kids.
I tell you, that deal was a lot of fun. We're doing it again. And by the way, you can look at the Cesta Cyclones and where they were in the standings. And the moment that we announced the deal and Chris became the owner of it and stuff, it was pretty wild and funny to see. And it's cool. It's quirky Miami. It's local Miami. It's sort of kind of fit right with the sensibilities of what we wanted to do. So we're having some good fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens in season 2 of the Battle Court. So I'll definitely still be paying attention to what happens. You also mentioned Chris Cote, and yesterday it was revealed that he is the architect of the Slow Report. So we have Chris Cote, Slow Report, elevator reviews, and possibly one other mystery project. Is there?
I cannot confirm nor deny, Senator. But we do have another thing. We've got a couple things brewing with them, and maybe only avid fans of the will sort of see, some of the tweaks that we've been making on the show since my colleague Carl and I have arrived, and some of the things that we're trying to not mess with it, but sort of tweak a little bit. But when Chris talked about the Slow Report, I mean, I lost it. I thought that was genius and so smart. And I think I last looks, I think I saw I had like 11,000 followers or something like that.
It when I last checked, it was up to 10,000. So it could be up even higher. So in one day, because I am a Mike Ryan super follower.
Right.
So
right.
I saw that he tweeted, I'm like, the Slow Report, what's this? Doc Rivers. And I looked, when I checked in the morning, it was like following 6 followers. And I'm like, that's weird. Why is Mike retweeting this? And then later in the day, I listened to the show and I'm like, it's Cote. And, I check in after I listen to the show and it's got like 10,000 followers. And
that's great.
He
it's
had
at 12,000. It's at 11.9 thousand right now. So it's pretty funny. So yeah, we're gonna have some good fun with that. I think there's a lot of extensions. I told Chris, make sure he registers the Instagram account and all these and the URLs and all that stuff before it gets squatted on by someone. So but yeah, we'll have some fun with it. I think you'll start to see more original bits coming into the show. To sort of crank up the creativity that these guys can do. Some more physical comedy, as you saw with the therapy couch and those guys piling on each other in a very uncomfortable setting. So things like that, I think you'll start to see. Hopefully start to see more of that. Bringing some old things back. Brought the penalty box back today. So you'll see some of that. It took some time after we left ESPN to sort of the rebuild some of the things that were lost when we went pirate phase. So
yeah, I mean, I think the show's clearly gone through like phases and changes. Like I think every good show is always looking to change and add things. And I think I really like you mentioned the bring back of the therapy couch. I thought that was hilarious that they had Amin and Dan and then Cote stacked on top of each other. I mean, and that's also great for like, getting more people to the YouTube like as well too, because that's something where like it's a funny listen, but it's even funnier when you're watching that on like the YouTube channel. So I know it's always been a podcast medium, but there is like a group of diehard fans that love that more visual bits are coming back to the show. So definitely excited to see that like grow and come back.
That's cool. Yeah, it's definitely a work in progress. And I think if you probably looked at it 8 months ago to 6 months ago to where it is now, like again, little things, right? Lighting, camera quality, angles, and all those things. So any of the feedback, by the way, by the fan base has been great. They're some of our best, best feedback loops, and sometimes it can be an echo chamber as well. We just got to make sure that we're always looking at things objectively and stuff like that, but it's good indicators of things that we're doing. So it's hard to satisfy all the mediums, right? You're trying to satisfy social and video and audio and smart imagery and all that stuff, and to get it all working together, it's a yeoman's effort to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, you can just pass along to Juju. He doesn't have to work so hard, because as someone who we just started our own Instagram and I've been trying to grow all this stuff, I see what Juju does every single day on like the show's different socials. And I'm like, my goodness, the amount of stuff that he's creating. He's absolutely like such a hard worker. And so he puts out so much stuff. Like I just can't
puts out so much stuff. And it's what it's the inside, inside, but it's the thing that you see in social, and you'll learn as you guys start your own handles and grow your things that you're doing. It's the voice, right? And what Juju just gets beautifully is like the voice of the show. And that's in my years of doing this, that's one of the hardest things to it's easy to post, it's easy to publish things or share, but to make it perfectly where there is like a voice that actually emulates what's coming out on the live show, it's not hard. It's very hard to come by.
So speaking of old bits, we have the grid of death. They mentioned it on the show recently. I think if they were to do a poll, fans obviously would be overwhelmingly in support of keeping the grid of death, because everybody loves seeing someone do something funny. Like, are we going to get grid of death payoffs here? You
will. There will be a concerted effort to make sure we get the payoffs. In fact, we're still going to pay off the stuff that's happened from last season, and we're running up. So Billy the Enforcer is going to make sure we've got some things set up in the studio that you should be seeing in the coming days to do some of these payoffs. So I will say that it is going to be back, and people will fulfill their debts.
Excellent. I would just say, don't make Jess live stream the entire Lord of the Rings. When we talked to her a couple weeks ago, and she said that was a possibility of her live streaming the entire time of her watching. I was like, that'd be so long to be on camera.
It would be brutal. It's
just, cut up a sizzle reel of her watching it,
She should still do it, but then we should, but right, that's right. Just get the best of montage.
Yes. As I mentioned earlier, I am a super follower of Mike, and he's been having some incredible takes this week. And I'm just curious, what take of Mike's do you agree with the most this week? Because I think he's spot on everything.
He's got a really his pulse on sort of like, it's an interesting thing. I mean, he's got obviously a very high sports acumen, but he's got a good sense of like, this is what's really going on here, And for this week's take, let's see here. Where
or anything of recent memory.
Well, I mean, I thought he nailed it perfectly on the Deshaun Watson stuff with Cleveland. I mean, I think he was dead on. The Predator stuff was pretty good, going on the other spectrum of it all. And when he starts revving, he's pretty good on it. But I think his entire navigation, which is a very tricky thing to navigate, the Deshaun Watson. I mean, look, that show does the best of the balance between the hijinks, the smart, and the stupid, right? And I thought he threaded it very well, positioned it all very well, and hard to argue what his things. Now, I don't agree with his wire take, but it's.
I don't agree with it either, but I'm a super follower, so
you
go for it, Mike. The Wire is one of my top 5 favorite shows of all time. Although it is one of those where I can understand. I forced my wife to watch it, and she's like, it's good, but I don't ever want to watch this again.
I think that's right. I think it's one that it is certainly a show that I don't think you go back. And I mean, it's been a long time, but if I remember correctly, I think season 3 kind of dragged. And I think I remember season 3 being like, oh, let's kind of get through this and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's unique in a show that it doesn't focus on the same character, right? Their characters change maybe more so than any other show, where season 1 follows McNulty, and then season 2 he's more of a side character as he deals with the repercussions from season 1. So
you certainly remember a lot of it.
So. I do. My wife doesn't watch it, but I probably watched the entire series 3 times.
Oh, so you have done that. Okay. Right. I thought I thought the sports fajita was genius. I thought that was really, really, really good. So I thought his take on that was spoke for a lot of dads out there and stuff like that. So he's come on. He's been good. He's been on as of late, so it's been good.
I think it was mentioned on a mystery crate previously that you have done some disaster prepping. Am I remembering correctly? So my question is, what disaster do you feel the most prepared for?
Probably none of them, right? But it's almost like you do this preparation. It's like an adult version of playing house or something like that, right? It's just cool and collect shit, things I can do. But when it comes down to any of this stuff, hunkering down in the house and preparing, if there's a power outage, I feel pretty good on that, right? But anything where I gotta defend the home, or I live on a hill, so I got a little bit of high ground. But but there's just things to, when I lived in New York and I was on my own, I had a backpack, and that was my go bag that I could just, if I needed to find a way to get out of the city and all that stuff, take what I needed. I had all that. But then as you grow your family and so that it's not as easy as just getting a backpack and going. So now it's a survival trunk, which does have backpacks in it. So I could pop them in there and get going.
Yeah, I was actually in a Costco the other day, and they actually had a disaster preparedness. I can't remember if it was 200 meals for $60 or 60 meals for $200. Either of that sounds feasibly reasonable for Costco, but
big bucket, right? And then
it was it was a bucket, and then there was duffel bag this big with even bigger than that of just dried food of where you just add water and heat it up and whatnot, and it rehydrates. And I was tempted to be like, that is nice, that just buy that bag and I feel,
and you're good,
prepared
right?
for a lot of different,
and the bucket actually, and you can use the bucket as a toilet. That's the other,
Yeah.
that's the other,
Mhm.
that's the other side to it, right? I don't know if but never, you have to empty everything out, but the food. So what I've heard is on the food stuff, it's like good to have those things, but if you live in a home, you've got plenty of shelf life food, right? So you got like canned foods, you've got pastas, you got all those things. So the seasoned preppers, as I've read, will just make sure that they've got a good rotating shelf life food that lasts for a few years versus like MREs or those those bricks and stuff like that. So,
what does a typical day look like for you?
Typical day now has changed, given that I'm down here now. So I've really positioned or tweaked my schedule so that I can just focus a lot when the show is going on, and I'm maniacally focused as to what's happening, what's coming out of that studio, and working with the team to maximize a lot of those stuff that's happening. But a lot of my day is look, you've got a team of 25 people. I think we're at around full time. That's 25 people. That's 25 problems. That's 25 different ways of working. That's 25 approaches to stuff. So there's a lot of individual conversations I need to have, particularly with me being down in Miami, and there's still a team in New York, and we've got some folks scattered around the country. But it's a lot of partnerships. It's a lot of
even across the pond. You've got Jenny in London.
You have Jenny that's across the pond. She's helping with a lot of our video stuff. So it's bringing in, working with a lot of the folks that we recently brought in, the specialists, I would say, that could help us maximize everything that's coming out of the Dan Le Batard show with Stugatz. But it's a lot of business development. It's a lot of partnerships. It's a lot of talent calls for new people that want to work with us. A lot of it's probably, and a good chunk of it is with DraftKings, with that team there of making sure that everything that we're doing is lining up with what they're trying to endeavor to get themselves toward. So it's good.
Working with Mark too.
Yeah, Feldman and I, we talk at least a few times a day, and it's like all modes of communication, right? Between text and Slack and voice text and phone and all that stuff. So it's it's a pretty tight team that we have with DraftKings that we partnered with early on, and Feldman was working with us since day -15 of the partnership and stuff like that. So he's been great.
What is like the show communication like? They've mentioned Slack and all that. Is it something where people are messaging a lot on Slack during the show and then not so much, or with someone shooting an idea at like 9:00 at night being like, hey, we should try and do like this?
I think I'd like it to get to more of that, right? Like I think the more that we can get to, that I shouldn't say that. The team itself, the container itself, they're doing a lot of communications across Slack and a group text. It's not everybody's on that stuff, right? There needs to be a good sanctuary, safe space for creatives just to riff on ideas. Everybody wants to be a creative. Everyone wants to try and be funny. So if like more folks like me are in there, we'll just pollute it and dilute it, and then you'll think you're in the right group chat, but you're not, right? You're like in some like they're giving you some fake one to make you feel like you're involved, but then there's like the double secret one that nobody knows about. So I think we are working on some comms that can allow the show to talk to each other a bit more real time, particularly people outside the studio, right? With the team that's editing the video, to editing the audio, and all those things. The better we can get on those communications, the better. So that's a lot of times what we're working on. But they'll take breaks, they'll pop out, we'll do that stuff. But the more that we can get into some more anticipatory prep, the better.
I would be remiss to, when having a higher up Meadowlarker, not ask about the next Moss Miami. Are there any details? Will we have a Domino's on aisle 7 in K-Moss, perhaps? Or
the location is under consideration. Moss
Okay.
Miami is under close consideration and development. So I think you can expect that Moss Miami will happen again. As we are working towards. So that one I won't give you the senator line. That one I can tell you is we're still trying to figure it out, right? But we're going to try and make it a bit more of a bigger affair.
Oh, I'm sure that excites fans to hear that Moss is going to be getting possibly even bigger. So that's very exciting. I think that's one of the things that I love about the show, the way that the show connects with fans, right? They ask fans to be a part of the show, and then even the way they do events and reach out to fans. So I think that's something that's exciting to hear.
I mean, I think it's a testament to Dan, right, and the gang of look, we'll use the wire, right? This is their corner, right? Miami is Dan's corner, and things like Moss Miami helps protect that corner, right? And that's something that we've tried to communicate to a lot of the new folks that have come on board, including myself. I had to learn that stuff, but like a lot of this stuff is local, and it's got to feel authentically Miami. Everything from the local hour to Because Miami to even South Beach Sessions, right? It's these things matter, and I want to hold on to that and also still expand, but not losing sight of where this all sort of started. And a little bit of my baptism on this stuff when we went to South by Southwest, it was wild to see the fans that rolled up and either snuck in or came through the front, and we were easily the biggest crowd that was there, right? And that was in Austin, Texas, right? Yeah. And so we brought Miami with us. That was cool to see. That was wild.
Well, I'm gonna get you out of here on a game, so I have a couple kind of get to know you questions. And in Stugatz fashion, the game is Bimal or none.
Okay.
So Bimal would be you're all in on it, and none is no thank you. So
okay.
Pineapple on pizza, Bimal or none? None. Okay.
I'm from New York. That's like sacrilegious.
Sacrilege.
Come on.
All right. I'm going to have to disagree with you there, but I respect your choice. When you take a bite of food at a restaurant, but you don't like it, do you eat Bimal or none of it?
Bimal.
Okay. Still. Yep.
Can't be that guy, unless it's like the chicken is pink, I'm not going to, I'm never one to send it back because I didn't like it. I just chose poorly, right?
I think Greg would though.
Yeah, Greg would, and he'd probably say something patronizing to the waiter or the waitress, and stuff like that. He probably calls flight attendants stewardesses still, so he comes from that era.
Yes, that sounds like something he would absolutely do. When you watch the first episode of a TV show, but you aren't really feeling it, do you watch Bimal or none of it?
Oof. None of it.
None of it. See.
Yeah, hard for me if you don't get me in the first episode. Like if it's a slow burn in the beginning, maybe I'll go with it. But yeah, I got to see that I've watched enough stuff I can know that I can power through it. But if it's one of those things I'm not feeling it, it's hard for me to finish these. And plus, because all these series are so damn long. There's like 8 series, parts. Like, tell me a story in 2 hours. If you can't do that, then we got a problem. So that's why these 10-part, 6-part stuff is you've got to really grip you.
Yeah, I'd say I was more of a watch it all, even if it was bad, if it had someone I was interested in about it. But once you start having 2 kids, you start to become more you're precious of your time.
Exactly. I mean, now that I'm here, my kids, my family, they were down here for a bit, but now that they're here now, I'm catching up on all the shows that I've been wanting to get. So I've been watching The Boys season 3. So give me more of that. I just got into Tehran season 1, which is that's been a good one. But I watched Severance. That was probably one of the best things I've seen in a long time. And but even if you really didn't like the story as much, just the way it was produced and shot and all that stuff, even if that, like I said, even though it was slow, you were very much intrigued as to how it was created.
Yeah, I was Severance. I've only seen the first episode because I don't have Apple Plus, and I'm waiting for like maybe
a
promo. They do have a week promo back. I used to have Apple Plus because I got it for like a year, you know, when you update your device. And I watched the first episode, and yeah, I was really excited about it. It's one of the shows that I saw recently where like just the premise of it like pulls you in right away. So I'm definitely going to get on that one. I just need to wait for like, I'm a 4th grade teacher, so I'll probably wait for like Thanksgiving break and get the free trial when I have a week off from work and knock it out then.
And you're you know, you're a teacher, which is a very underappreciated field, but it's fantastic that you're there. But you know, I think for folks that worked in the corporate space, it's like, it really you're like, oh shit, this is this is hitting a little bit too close home. So it's especially when you know, I was at you know, in the corporate world for a long time, still in corporate, but it's different. We're in startup, so we're trying to be everything that wasn't from before. But in the old office days, you're like, yikes, this is very true. So.
Yeah. If you had guarantees you wouldn't get caught and had an open bank vault in front of you, would you steal Bimal or none of the money inside?
None of it, man. None of it. Karma. I'm governed by karma. Not because I'm Indian, but I think it's just in general, like that stuff. I always think about those things as karma or something will happen to me later, or my kids or my family or something. I just don't mess with it. So
yeah, I think I'd go with the same choice as you, just because I'd know, right? So that would definitely be like, for me, I don't think I could do it, even if no guarantees I'm not getting caught. If you had to drive every Tesla, do you think it's more likely that Bimal or none of them would burst into flames?
None of them.
Yeah, none. If you could be on a reality TV show, would you be Bimal in or out?
Ooh. I think I go Bimal in. Yeah. I think.
What reality TV show would you be on?
Man. Well, if I was single, maybe there's that funny one that's out right now, like Indian matchmaking or something like that. That sounds pretty good. Even pretending to be a prepper, like Survivor would be cool, but you know, like I think I would suck at it. But I would do, if I could do what was it called? It was like Bear Grylls' show, like that. That would be. I'd rock that. That'd be fun for me. Because he could save my ass, right? And he would help me along with it and stuff.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Bimal, for joining us. I appreciate you giving us the time. And we look forward to just, you know, seeing the show continue to grow and just the places that it's going.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this would be your lowest rated show that we have there.
No,
so
I
Jess is probably up there. Billy's there. I mean, this will be. Ooh.
We'll see. I don't think it's gonna be our lowest rated show if I tease that you mentioned something about Moss Miami.
Oh, okay, good. That will give us pressure to make sure it happens now. So that's good.
Yeah. So we'll just put that pressure right back on you to grow our show.
It's jiu-jitsu. I see what you just did there. So that's good.
Right. Yeah.
Good job.
All right. Thank you, Bimal.
Okay, man. Thanks for this.